Winter and snowstorms go hand in hand here in Boston. At least they used to. But last month was one of the city's warmest Decembers on record. And the greater Boston area hasn't seen a major snowstorm in more than 2 years. Meteorologists predict that the snow drought may be over soon, with a storm expected to hit the region this weekend. So what can we expect from this storm, and where does it fall in the grand scheme of things as climate change really takes its toll on New England winters? Meteorologist and GBH news partner Dave Epstein joins me now. Dave, the snow is coming. We couldn't avoid it, I suppose.
Yeah, we've never had a year without snow. Even last year, getting about a foot, we were one of the lower winters on record in terms of snowfall, but it's never not snowed in Boston. And this winter, it's already snowed 0.2 inches, but we're going to better that by quite a bit here as we head for Sunday. I've got the snow shovel, are your stakes in the driveway, and keeping in the back pocket, don't forget the snow brush. So I'm armed and ready for Sunday.
So is this going to be a big one? Should folks really be battening down the hatches?
It's not going to be sort of a monster storm. I think it's generally for most areas right away from the coastline, kind of a 6 to 12 inch snowstorm. So definitely a formidable snowstorm. It's coming on a Sunday. We're well prepared. We know it's coming. Traffic will be minimal. Schools are obviously out along the coastline in Boston. I'm thinking right now 3 to 6 inches. Of course, things can change. We have another set of model runs for Friday and again on Saturday. So that number of 3 to 6 in Boston could go up by a little bit. It could also go down if the warmer air looks like it's coming in off the ocean. But right now, I'm pretty confident on that 6 to 12 just away from the coastline, especially Worcester Hills. That's where I think 12 would be. And then for the Cape and the Islands, anywhere from a coating up to maybe 4, perhaps 5 inches as you get toward the canal.
Well, we know that the winter temperatures have been fluctuating because of climate change, and it's actually getting warmer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a couple of things. First of all, weather like a snowstorm is going to happen regardless of climate change. We're going to have cold, like last winter in February. We had the coldest day since the 1950s, in spite of the fact that we're warming up. So behind everything is climate change. We are getting warmer progressively every winter, but even in a warming climate, we're going to see snow, we're going to see cold. It's just that the season itself is shrinking. So we're starting winter later, we're ending it a little bit earlier. But in terms of snowfall, except for the past couple of winters, we're actually still seeing quite a bit of snow. And until temperatures really warm up, that the snow falls as rain more consistently, I think the average snowfall won't change by a lot over at least probably the next decade or two.
Well, Dave, we went out and we asked folks about how they're feeling about how this winter has been shaping up. It's one of my favorite things that we do in winter because everyone's got a soundbite or an opinion about the winter. And we had one gentleman who talked about the lack of snow for skiing or the ski season itself. So let's take a listen.
It's great. I wish it could be pushed to February or March or not at all. Been born and raised in Boston. I'll believe the snowstorm when I see it. A lot of prediction of a lot of inches and nothing shows up and vice versa.
But I do enjoy the season because we didn't have to pay for as much plowing, cleaning, so I like this weather.
I'm hoping to go to the Patriots game on Sunday, so maybe we can get a snow bowl game, get some actual winter weather back on the map.
I am just looking forward to it because it's like a hallmark of winter.
Yeah, and we also had some folks who talked about, they wanted to go skiing up in Vermont, but the snow wasn't that great. I mean, feels like folks are kind of all over the place in terms of the wintertime.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the mark of the season. Some people love it. Some people just wish it were summer. I don't like the heat, so I don't mind the cold very much. So, kind of get through winter. In terms of ski season, the ski areas are definitely going to be seeing snow over the next couple of weeks. Unfortunately, that storm that happened right before Christmas really wiped out a lot of the snow. But it will be coming back, and certainly with the colder temperatures, ski areas are able to make snow, and that system has improved a lot over the past couple of decades.
So I know that you are the plant guy. So what should folks be doing to prepare if they have any, sort of winter plants that are out there now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, most things actually like the snow because the snow acts as a good insulator for the plants. If you have plants that are tending to splay, so they're maybe tall and the branches kind of get weighted down by snow. You could tie them up with a little bit of twine. I'm not a huge fan of covering things with burlap and all of that, but some people do it because of deer issues. But generally, frankly, the snow is a good thing for the plants, and it does give the ground a lot of insulation and kind of helps protect things.
And I know we also have to be thoughtful of like snow melt and things like that, because that can have an environmental impact.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a good point. And I think actually next week we may run into a pretty big problem here Tuesday night into Wednesday. We have another system coming in, so we're going to get this precipitation here, which will amount to about an inch of water, whether it's snow or rain on the Cape. And then we're going to add another 1 or 2 inches of water to all of this here Tuesday into Wednesday of next week, with a little bit of a warm up in the forecast. So we're going to have to look for potential for flooding, believe it or not, as we head for Wednesday. And that's something I'll be keeping an eye on and talking with Paris and Jeremy each morning here in the upcoming week.
Well, I know that that's also a big concern as we talk about climate change, is that as we get more severe flooding, especially rural communities have a hard time coping with that.
Yeah, and the thing is that with climate change, we do know that the models forecast the Northeast to have more extreme precipitation events than any other area of the country. And so whereas our precipitation number may not go up, so if we end up with, say, 45 inches of precipitation over the course of the year, the actual amount of precip may not change, but how we get it changes. So instead of getting fewer 1 and 2 inch events, we're getting more 2, 3, 4 inch events, still adding up to the same thing, but the way we get it is changing. That's also the case with the snowfall a little bit. As the climate warms, it holds more moisture. So we still get roughly the same amount of snow on average over 30 years, but how we get it is ticking up a little bit.
Do preparations on the municipal level do you think are going to have to change to adapt to some of this, especially as we talk about, like, you know, we know snow is coming, but do we need to prepare differently for that, especially if we think that maybe flooding might happen right after that?
Yeah, I think that what you said there at the end is probably what we're going to have to really think about as the climate warms. It used to be, if you go back 50 years, that, you know, we would go into winter, we would stay cold longer, we wouldn't have the frost and the freezes the way we have them now. We come out of winter, go back into winter. So I think that that impact of that, you know, spikiness of winter, melting, perhaps basement flooding, and also it does do more damage to the roads because the roads freeze and they thaw, and then they freeze and thaw again, and that will have to be budgeted in for road repair. We all know around here what spring looks like with potholes, and that could be exacerbated by more fluctuation of temperature.
Yeah, spring, summer, however long you have to live with those potholes in your communities as well. All right. Well, Dave, we'll be ready. We'll be ready for this snowstorm.
Great to be here. Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you.